what it is.
3, 2. No easy listening. I'm telling you.
Hello, and welcome to I'm Telling You episode
13.
13.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I like it. 13. 13 cars in the suit. We on the ace. Because we go from the 2 to the ace. I don't know. Maybe you go ace to the king.
So, I mean, just what is it about 13? It's just 13. What's so exciting about 13?
I don't know. Maybe
That's
there's
a prime number.
Maybe there's something in there with the pineal gland.
I don't know. Maybe there is.
Maybe.
What's
96? Can we divide that by 13? Who wants to do a fact check?
What is your number 3, though? I mean, you love 3. 96 is all about 3. Really? All kinds of 3s in there. Why'd you what? Don't be looking at me like... Oh, it cracks me up. I look over at your face and it just reminds me of Wilson. Like just hanging up over the fence.
Yeah, because you can only see like my eyeballs. And I'm staring at him because I'm trying to think about stuff and he's throwing stuff around and just,
Anyway, pineal gland.
Yeah, the 6th chakra.
Number 6. And really interesting to look at those numbers. So as you go up, what was the one right before that?
16.
It was like 16.
Yeah, your throat.
And then suddenly it pops up to like 96. I'm like, where did that come from? But yeah, that's your...
Yeah, I said power up.
That's your third eye.
Well, because then when you go from your third eye, you also then go up to the crown. So you go from like 96 to 1,000 is what you said.
Right.
So there's like this...
But there's a multiplier there.
Yeah, it's not even... So now we start to get into like exponential because we go from like 16 to 96 to 1,000. It's just like... Yeah, because that makes sense. Right, dude? Like, holy crap, what did you just eat for breakfast?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how serious the experience is, I guess. I mean...
Well, so the pineal gland, because, I mean, we did a little research off mic. We vetted some information, of course. You know, we want to come correct. In vertebrates, basically mammals of sorts or cold-blooded reptilians, so things that have skeletons on the inside, vertebrates, that have brain, the pineal gland is kind of just chilling at the bottom. You know, I think they made the expression of like Atlas holding up the world. It's kind of sitting in between both hemispheres, just, all literally at the base, just like holding the brain up, just like, hey, bro, how are you? Did you have a nice weekend? Oh, I got this. Don't even worry about it. Yeah, you tell me about you. How are you,
But
man?
that it's, that it's got, like it's, what is it? It was photosensitive or...
Wait, yeah, it was photosensory that it...
Even though it's within the tissue.
Well, correct.
Buried within the tissue.
Yeah, in the brain and just the skull and fat and all these different layers of components. Yeah, it's like deep buried in.
It gets calcified really easy. Apparently.
That's one of the ideas.
Did you read anything about that? That it's actually
Of course I did.
It's such an integral, not necessarily a part of the brain, but a part of the brain. But it's outside the blood-brain barrier, which makes it susceptible.
Well, and I think that's like the stuff that kind of makes it like an odd component. I think I said earlier something about the 80-20, where like if the pineal is a part of like that less than 20-ish%, like whether it's like 12% or 7%, it's that small little piece that's doing like 80% of the work. What if it's like that piece or components so that kind of makes sense that it's going to sit there, hold everything up, but have stuff kind of, I guess, like flow through it in a sense. So as a receptor, I mean, just because it's seen as a photoreceptor doesn't necessarily mean that it's seeing light. It just means that it seems to be a component that would be receptive to like almost, I guess, like imagery.
I don't know. I never thought of it as being, something that you had to use like on a daily basis. But I mean, it's like, be like the human flux capacitor, like only when you need to do some crazy ass, and speed your mind past 88 miles per hour and do some time travel.
Let's see you bastards do 90. Then let me ask you this: what if projector style? So if you're in a movie theater, you have like the projector behind you, and then it throws the movie up in front of you, right? Okay, so we have this photoreceptor. Well, what if it works in reverse? Because headphones and microphones work off of vibrations. So one resonates so that it picks up a signal, and the other one resonates so it puts out that signal. What if, because if they're the same relative style, now all of a sudden instead of the projector putting the movie up, the movie is projecting back to the projector what the information is. To me, that kind of supports that like 80-20 of this little itty bitty thing doing a lot of the work because it's actually taking in everything else.
I don't know. It's curious. I mean, I really there's a lot of speculation in that area because I think we only have a very small idea of what that tiny little thing does.
We also only use like 10% of our brain.
But I mean, it's in charge of the serotonin, right? Serotonin melatonin balance or something like that in the.
And I think there was like one other. There's 3 or 4, I believe. But yeah. So it kind of has power over a few of the hormones that really kind of regulate systems a lot.
Well, and I believe that it's integral in the production within the brain of human DMT, which is part of the quote unquote religious experience that people have.
Astral projection, out of body.
Oh, just the overall sensation for however long that it lasts, that you are fully understanding your connection to everything in the entire universe and your importance in it and where you are just for a moment, that you understand all of that. And that is
I think a great way to express that. I like that. I can agree to that.
And that's all pretty much summed up in a lot of the stuff you hear about the effects of DMT. In a way, I mean, that it brings you to this almost, we want to say alternate reality, but what is the reality at that moment? Like, is this not real, or is that real? I don't know.
I would call it alternate perception.
Alternate perception.
Yeah, I think that's probably a little bit more impeccable.
Non-physical reality.
It's not going to work here anymore.
Non-time space reality.
Well, and I want to go to, because I've actually, you speak of the DMT. I've seen a few interviews with quite a few people that, from what I'm to understand, these are like other like hosts that have different guests that bringing on some like specialists and like really getting down to it. There's not, like, it's not an alternate reality. It's just another.
It's like a part of reality that we normally can't.
I'm gonna use the Matrix reference where you can either be in the Matrix or you could be in the training program. You're still a consciousness. You're still available. You're still here. You can do. But when you're on these different levels, so I think string theory goes into this a little bit, where you have these different levels, energies, frequencies, vibrations, some Tesla stuff. All of a sudden now it's like that's where you can kind of come in on it. So, I don't know.
Like parallel dimensions.
Well, but not. And it's not even so. It's
well. I mean, it's
you
like,
could literally be.
Yeah.
It's like being on the other side of the mirror almost, even though you're not aware that there's a mirror. So all of a sudden now.
Imagine there's a whole other reality on the other side of that mirror.
Well, I think you said at one time pulling the.
Let's just say I'm not that.
Well, you said at one point pulling the spiritual veil off. Now all of a sudden you're removing a filter that your brain or your pineal, like you're saying, you're like calcium. If that's the thing, if that's what's
calcium.
But if it's calcifying, doesn't have to be calcium per se, but if it's calcifying, if that blocks it, it puts a filter on. So now you get a spiritual filter removed. Remove that veil. why couldn't you see it in that fashion? Like, I don't know. I mean,
No, yeah, that's like a physical representation of a veil, and yes, sometimes that can crack and break open all on its own.
yeah. So now with that filter gone, now all of a sudden it's like the mirror just now appears. You're like, holy crap! And you can go on the other side, and there's that, not so much like creature, but entity. And I mean, sometimes they're very helpful, sometimes they're mocking, but no matter what, they're always very much like grounding. They're very impeccable in almost like a slight impish manner sometimes.
Are you talking specifically about the DMT trip?
Correct.
Yeah, there's a lot of I've heard a lot about that. These
yeah, and this is not even just like people who are like, yeah, dude, I totally trip balls, but scientists, we're talking like psychiatrists. I mean, there's many different scientific,
right, because it's still under study. I mean,
not as much as it should be.
And it's a I forget the proper term for that, because it's something that's naturally occurring within the human body. That it's LSD is not naturally occurring within the human body. DMT is, and it's a very specific type of DMT.
As well as many, many, many plants, and many other things.
Oh, that contain, yes.
Yeah, well, they're even small it's almost like the God particle. It's just that's a part of all of us.
Problem we were saying though, that the amount you would have to ingest, and that the stomach acid that you have would naturally destroy it without. That was the whole thing. That was the whole thing about ayahuasca. Yeah.
My point is, it's a part of all of us. Just like the cannabinoids and stuff. Why we have cannabinoids?
The DMT, yeah,
endocannabinoids. Well,
it's a naturally occurring substance, and it's also in the plants. Yes,
that's my point. It's one of those like God particles, or that stardust DNA. Who knows, right? The Akashic records.
I like that though. Yeah,
well, and that's why, like, so to me, I think we going for 16 from the throat. I don't have to talk, I don't have to speak for you to hear me anymore, Russ, for all of those who really know that. But it's one of his lines, but I don't have to speak for you to hear me. So it's like, you get to power up. Well, next step up, like, why wouldn't you be able to be even, like, harder than that? You get into the next chakra, and now all of a sudden it's like, you open up to all that. You take one more veil off. Well, what if being able to do that means now the pineal gland is like, it's almost like, Kung Fu Hustle, where you take the bell and you crack off the top, and all of a sudden it's just like megaphone lion's roar. But that you go from 96 to 1,000. So, the pineal gland does most of the work, and now all of a sudden you throw on, the brain or the seventh chakra, and it's just like turbo, and you just like pump out that much more juice. Maybe that's a thing.
144,000.
1.21 gigawatts?
Wow. Yeah.
Comments?
Yeah, sure. Time travel? Yeah. I like that. Uh-huh. Astral, time, whatever.
There is no spoon.
Well, there's in a timeless state, there's no difference between past, present, future.
Yeah, that's the light train idea, I think. E equals MC squared stuff.
Right. Well, if you slow everything down,
you're not slowing it down. There's no time. If there's no time, there is no slow down. There is no speed up.
Well, that's the only way you can think about it.
Correct the mundo.
If you take all that whole aspect out, yeah, there is no spoon. It's just the easiest way to say it. There is no spoon.
In the comments.
See. We just keep reusing that one.
Well, I keep saying...
Sorry, Matrix, we're just,
I just keep saying in the comments so that it's just like an indicator to somebody who's like paying attention. It's like, yo, you should write this down.
And what did I say too? The Matrix, the first one, had a lot of that stuff really... I mean, that's core universal stuff. And they just put it out there, really. I mean, none of that stuff was really brand new. Concept-wise.
Well, to me, it's almost very much a So while we did it in a computer fashion, like that was the way it was expressed. We're an energy source, a battery, right?
Mm.
You can take that and literally cross it over, or equate it to a capitalistic economy, or pretty much any economy, really, where you have to have those inputs, that energy source, that thing that interjects, in order for the other component to survive. So it's very much expressing just a reciprocal nature that most of us just kind of pick, where it's just like, oh, it's good and bad, and they're this, and it's yin and yang. Literally just yin and yang. You can be a battery, or you can be a financial source, or you can be a community member, but all these different microcosms, that's what it is. So to me, it really expresses the rawest nature of just symbiotic relationships.
Mm.
Should I mic drop on that? I don't know.
I don't know, that's what I felt like. Yeah, I don't know. I was getting that kind of sensation from you over there. I don't know.
Like, boom. And then I'll like walk with. That was me walking away. I don't know. Like old school 1950s, like 20s and radio and stuff. We got to explain everything because TV doesn't exactly quite exist or not.
So episode 13. And then like I'm trying to keep track of everything going on now, because I don't even, my mind's totally blown, because we basically wasted what, like 45 minutes to an hour?
Oh, I don't think it was that long.
However long it was.
It was about 20 minutes.
Was it 20 minutes?
Yeah, we lost about 20 minutes of, Again, fact checker, we need somebody keeping after. We're like two little unhousebroken puppies. We're going to pee everywhere. You got to keep us from peeing. Corral us in. Keep us running.
Irv, I wasn't even in aisle 4.
Yeah, we can pay for it now, too. I mean, again, food and soda maybe. I don't know. Talk. Put it in the comments. Resume something.
Yeah, we can afford to have an office party.
I mean, they might be buying the pizzas, but yeah, we can totally do that.
Well, I meant, it's only 2 of us.
I mean, right now. In the now.
In the now, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can't speak for the...
If you're listening to episode like 110 or something, dude, we probably got somebody already hooking us up.
Yeah, we're going to have...
we might have put one of our kids to work
We talking about that. We need like an entourage, right?
No, we need like one person.
Well, we definitely need a fact checker. I mean,
we need one more. There's 2 of us. We need a third. That's what I'm saying.
Like the Three Amigos.
Yeah, the infamous Three Amigos. Oh yeah, dude. No,
God, it's been a long time since I've seen that.
I got that one too.
Do you really? Nice.
Well, I just
even the oddball classics. I would consider that a kind of an oddball classic.
Steve Martin, Martin Short, Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase, Jesus, Dan Aykroyd. It's late. It's like
it's very late, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not early.
No.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So
yeah, with El Guapo. Would you say I have a plethora? Oh, see, I mean, you have a plethora. Do you even know what a plethora is? No, I do not know. He's like, why would you say I have a plethora of pinatas if you don't know what a plethora is? Sorry, dude, that's like one of my most favorite scenes. There's like, the singing bush? They wind up like shooting it or something. Or no, the invisible man.
The invisible man, that's yeah.
And then he like, instead of firing in the air, he just shoots across. He just like, nice. Kills the...
Great job.
That's great stuff, man. It's like some Mel Brooks kind of stuff where it's just like super slapsticky. You have no choice but to laugh. You're just like, oh, how did you not see that coming? Well, because he's the invisible man. Of course you don't see him coming. That's what makes it funny. Yeah. That's a preposterous joke right there. That's great.
Again.
The again does make it funny. So, 13, Pineal Gland. We got to come back around again. We don't have a fact checker, so we got to do this ourselves. It's not easy, but we do it for
episode
you.
13, you're like pretty much your favorite number, or
that's my no. Wow,
like your lucky number, or
it's just
lucky number 13.
It's just something that always worked for me. I like black cats. I'll walk under a ladder, like that stuff does not bother me. If I crack a mirror, I'm not like I got to throw salt over me, or I'm gonna have 7 years bad luck, or none of that stuff. Like it does not apply. It does not work. So I don't know. I'm a little different. I get it now.
I mean, some of that stuff, I think there is a reason why you probably shouldn't walk under a ladder or a scaffold.
It's dangerous.
A scaffold, for that matter.
And things can be dropping on you, like paint buckets above you or something, or do with like a hammer, or who knows what, man. Yeah, that's what you call like tempting fate. Apparently, I did that whether I walked around the ladder or under it. So I was like, I'm just going to embrace it at this point. See what happens. Yeah, you tell me it's going to work. Oh, hey, just let's do it.
They told me you shouldn't fly down the sidewalk at 25 miles an hour.
Well.
And I learned that the hard way.
Depends on the apparatus.
What?
Yeah. At that speed on a sidewalk. Depends on the apparatus. As well as balance. You don't really have
the vehicle?
Yeah.
The vehicle in question was the bicycle that I was riding. Yeah.
It wasn't not in question.
He was doing 25, and yeah.
How did you get clocked?
A car pulled out a pizza place. It was a delivery driver, poor guy. He pulled out and stopped right on the sidewalk to look both ways. So before he pulled out, and I was booking down the sidewalk, and I hit the quarter panel so hard that I slammed my face into the hood of his car and flipped over the other side.
This doesn't answer my question of how you have verification you were doing 25 miles per hour. You were let's
Dude,
see you bastard dudes 90.
Because that's about
it
was an estimate. Based on I was cooking. Just put it that way. I was cooking.
What were you cooking?
I was cooking my tires, man. They were heating up.
Yeah,
I was flying. Yeah. I had wings.
Maybe if you had a pineal gland that you could
came up over the crest of that.
You would have seen it coming.
Saw that car come out and saw his eyes get as big as saucers when he looked over at me, and then boom, right into the side of his car.
Were you using your pineal gland to see that?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe you were.
I mean, maybe that was the stars that I saw when I landed on the other side, but I popped right back up, and I was like, my bike! Freaked out. Because the thing was the forks were bent completely back. It was terrible.
You did the old lady arthritis hand. That's how crumpled. Not even it was gnarled, huge chunks, but it's just yeah, that's what.
Well, if you took the handlebars and flipped them completely backwards, the wheel would kind of touch the ground, right? You made some kind of a mangled looking lowrider.
I like where you're going with this. You said lowrider. I'm in, man.
Got your attention, man.
So, pineal gland, because we gotta.
Anyway, yeah. If you want to stay on.
We're supposed to. Yeah, it's kind of the point. A parlay. Can I parlay?
We got to pull that trigger, huh?
Yeah, dude, pineal gland. Let's get
pineal
gland.
For real. I'm saying so. It's in charge of some really important stuff. I would say I would even consider it to be sort of like a gatekeeper between the waking and the sleeping reality of the human brain.
Yeah, I think I made a reference of it what if it's a projector and there's a movie screen, and then so it being a photoreceptor, supposedly, there's that component as vertebrates. What if it goes both ways? And I think that kind of supports that idea at that point. Because what if it's taking
what if it's it's actually trying to project something internally to you?
Well, yeah. So what if it's it helps you to get to that alternate world, that alternate reality, the DMT component. So at that point, now all of a sudden it's a projector and it puts it out, and it's hey, this is the world you live in. And when it's not, then the other world kind of puts into it and just back feeds into the machine. I like the idea of we're stuck to our phones and TVs and all that kind of stuff. When we force it to go the other way, then all of a sudden we just put it into the brain through there. So if it's that strong component, that 80-20, where it's that little piece doing most of the work, and it can go both ways, it almost sounds like the doorway between information. So you can either ascend to the next level, the crown, and go up that extra 1,000 and get into the Akashic records, take all the veils off, or you can just stay in that component and just feed the machine instead.
I think I'd want to see things as they really are. right?
I would want to be impeccable and be a part of that.
Like, do you want to see things as they want to be like Neo and see things as they really are? Or do you want to be like, what's his name that got the stake at the end and was like, you know, ignorance is bliss? What was his name?
Oh, Joey Peloton. What was his character's name? Oh, crap. Yeah, I know. In the comments. Go ahead, butcher this. We don't care.
The Matrix, anyhow.
Yeah.
Neo and...
Yeah, it wasn't Dozer. Crap, what was his name?
But he was basically, he was the, he was the bad guy of the movie.
Great point. That was awesome.
Yeah.
he was the bad guy in the movie. I'm pretty sure Agent Smith was like one of the bad guys.
Well, yeah, like, yeah.
He was the Benedict, right? Benedict Arnold.
Yeah.
There you go. I think that's a... So, going back to the pineal gland, if we can, please. Yeah, thank you. I got to corral us. It's not an easy job, but somebody's got to do it.
It's very late.
It is. But it's okay. Pineal gland. If it is a receptor, if that seems to be its like rawest function, and you were saying it's at the most primal level of the brain, like the most original, earliest.
It's in
that's a projection. That's like a data idea where it's like, hey, it seems to be.
Evolutionarily speaking, I think it's in like the oldest center of the brain or something like that. It's basically dead center in the brain. The pineal gland is right in the dead center.
Yeah, it's part of the left and right hemispheres. It's kind of split, but it's not in the middle of, because there's also, I think the hypothalamus is in the middle.
It's got like this funky shaped protection around it, which has been referred to as actually the angel's wings.
Well, but it's
interestingly enough,
but it's still at the base of it, so it's not internal of the brain. It's literally like at the bottom, connected, holding it all together in a sense.
It's more beneath it, like shooting up beneath it. But,
it's almost like that little clip around the balloon, so the air doesn't get out.
But it's like if you were to think of the human heart as being the center of your physical body. Think of the pineal gland as being the center of your, not only your head, but your spiritual body, but definitely dead center in the head itself, somewhere behind the eyes.
And so the idea I just got from that was the reciprocal component of whichever way it flows, energy going through, as you're just saying, so the heart or the pineal, they're just, anode, cathode. Back to the battery idea. It's like whether it's positive or negative, it's still a spot that can flow. So it can either go this direction or that direction.
Well, but there kind of has to be, and that's what's spoke of in like the higher levels of yoga and stuff, is that there has to be a connection made. That they even reference it as being a sexual connection. That there's a masculine and a feminine energy that meet each other in the heart center, and then rise up. So your heart catches fire and everything rises up and it goes up through your. Yeah, it's a very visual way to think about it.
So the heart is number 4, right?
Yeah, but yeah, I think so.
So that's like the center.
That's what I said. If you think of that as the center of your physical body,
because I'm getting the idea of the pyramids, right? The way they sit between the halfway of the equator and the northern pole, that it allows for that. So the halfway point being the heart chakra, and then you have your base and the crown. You have the energies, twirling on that, just as you would the idea of like Tesla and the pyramids on those lines.
There is something about the shape of that complex and the shape and layout of the human body. There is. I've seen that before. Excuse me. What was I thinking of? So, pineal gland, chakras.
Yeah, the energy as it goes in and around.
Yeah, clearing your chakras so that you get the proper energy flow, opens everything up, allowing you to see with your third eye when you're, supposedly when your crown chakra opens up.
Well, see, and that's why I was saying not so much that you can see with your third eye. That's why I was like, I think at that point, what if it's almost that it projects for you instead? So almost like, what do you want to call it, the holodeck? Where now all of a sudden it's just like the doors open up and it's just like, oh, totally alternate other place. Same idea.
Does it create a space of its own?
Well, yeah, so instead of the information coming into it, instead of it being a receptor, it now becomes a projector.
I don't know. I like more the idea of
So like maybe this. What if the pineal gland is calcifying itself because it's tired of things, and it's like, my wall's up. What if it does it itself to protect it from all of the stuff that's coming in, being projected on it instead of it projecting out? That's an interesting idea, I think.
I don't know. I mean, and I don't know how true this is, but I've heard theories on why that happens. But I think it has more to do with what you ingest.
That's a different perception. I'm asking the alternate question. What if?
Well, I mean, I suppose. I never really thought about it.
Yeah, but let's play it that way. So think about that. You have this thing that can project.
If it shuts down.
You have this thing that can project whatever it wants. Right? It's at the base. It's the core. It's this, it's only 7% of, but it puts out 80% of the work. It can just create things. What if it literally is like, nope, I'm going to do this, and it just puts it up as itself? So while you want to say it's because you're ingesting these things, what if it's intelligent enough that it's just grabbing those things and saying thank you, and it's just been slowly building this wall up to protect itself because it's been projected on instead of projected out of? What if?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because think about that. Because as I was saying, the way the energy would be rolling, it doesn't matter positive, negative. Like you can call it whatever you want. Energy either flows in or out of. Like it's either going to go, from the top and the bottom into the center from the inward out, or it's going to go from the outward in. So it's either rolling clockwise or counterclockwise. So it's either going to, and it's both sides because it's like the gear mesh. Same as the power idea with Tesla or the pyramid. So what if the energy's flowing one way? Then that means everything's being projected into the brain or, the gland as opposed to it projecting out of, putting what it should be where connection from the higher power comes in and it just, now you're that conduit and it feeds out through. So maybe the calcification is because it's being bombarded inward instead of being allowed to do outward.
So you're really going on with that the fact that maybe it could project,
like maybe,
it can project images as opposed to just receiving them.
Well, no, not instead of. It's like
in addition to.
Well, you said earlier, it's the same thing as like the DMT component, where it's a two-way door. You can either be in this reality, or all of a sudden now it's like, hey, we're now in this alternate, and it's producing DMT, and we're just a part of this. So it's we can either be a part of the alternate world or this world through that piece.
And why is that there? And that's the real question too.
Well, that's what I'm
physiologically, why is that there?
Because maybe that's that piece that allows us to be a part of either this, this string or the other string, this energy or this vibration or this frequency. It's that thing that allows us to just be in whatever part that we are.
I mean, do you think? I mean, would you go as far as to say that maybe whatever God you believe in maybe gave you an eye you could look at him with?
Well, I mean, that's one way to. It gives it a purpose, which I mean, I feel it does. Well, yeah, maybe that's the only thing. I don't know. I'm just saying is. Just because it says that it's being calcified or blocked because of what we're doing in the sense of what we're taking in food-wise, it's like it doesn't necessarily have to be food-wise. To me, it's almost like this is astral projection, right?
It's more like heavy metals and stuff like that.
But that's what it could be taking to block all the other stuff. That's why I'm asking, instead of it being this receptor, because it's been expressed as a receptor, why does it have to be a receptor? Why can't it be a projector? So when you're in that flow, when the higher power is this thing that you are a part of and it comes into you, now all of a sudden it turns on the projector and feeds it. So you get to have the film strip coming off of that instead of the movie being forced back through it. So now instead of it being forced upon, having all these things that we're watching, our phones, our TVs, all these different dramas and stuff that instead of letting all these things come in, now we're actually being the conduit and we're letting the light and love come out of us.
Let your light shine. Literally, let your light shine.
To me, the pineal gland sounds like it should be that thing that's like all of a sudden it's a projector. Well, we're saying it's, if it's calcified, that restricts it. Well, maybe it's doing that because it's been so harshed upon that it literally put up its own wall in a sense. Like it built its own shield from all these little pieces over time, again and again and again. It just slowly built this wall. So, instead of it, again, why can't it be?
I mean, and there we go. Whenever you activate it, though, it tends to shake that stuff loose. So it seems to only calcify through inactivity. So if that's what you're saying is maybe it's calcifying as a reaction to us not using it as much as we should, in trying to keep it active and trying to use it as kind of like, what was it referenced as, like a cosmic antenna was one of the ways I heard it referenced, that it's like I said, it's physically speaking, chemically speaking, it acts as a gatekeeper between our waking and our sleeping states. But does it have a process, metaphysically speaking? And that's the question. Does it help actually create a connection, like a full-on connection, like we're talking about? Where,
well, I think it's. So you made the reference of the energy flowing either from the pineal and into the center of the heart. I think of it more as the crown, the heart, and the base. So the pineal it's a piece where, that's why I feel like it's more of just a physical component. So that chakra isn't so much like when you can open that up, it's not like, oh, you're letting the energies flow or do its thing. You're literally letting it do its job, which makes it a part of the conduit. So instead, now all of a sudden it turns on the projector, so it puts out what you're supposed to be seeing, but then it carries through your throat chakra, so now it's telling you to like say the things you're supposed to do. Again, you're the conduit, the music's coming through you. So what if you're a part of that higher power? Now all of a sudden all of the energies flow that way because they're coming back into the center from the root the root and the crown chakra. Instead. So you were saying like the energy going through to their part. I think it's a piece. Like it's part of the machine.
What that the?
Yeah, so the pineal isn't something that you get to see other things with in that sense. You literally get to see it because it tells you altered perception, and you could just like go after that. That's what you gotta. And yeah, as you use it, you kind of clean the lens off of the camera. The projector, yeah, you get the calcium or the calcification, the blockage.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you're basically, you're electrifying it, you're activating it, you're bringing it back to life, and it has a tendency, I think, to break all that stuff up, or at least that's what I've heard. Yeah, I'm getting tired, man.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it.
Well, I'm just kind of playing like devil's advocate because I mean you had your knowledge coming into it.
I'm still trying to understand the whole like what kind of images or whatever you're projecting, but I always see it more as an antenna like for receiving. It's the way I looked at it. That maybe all these references to seeing spirits or seeing God or or even wrestling with God, if that wasn't reference to having this experience brought on by kind of a connection to a higher self that in a place called pineal or pineal, another biblical reference, but anyway.
Well, so in
Jacob.
Yeah, you're using the word receiving as in to like come in. To me, that gives the visual of like receptor as in it's coming through the things around us into us. Whereas I feel it would be more of the idea as the higher power, us again being the conduit, as that energy comes into us. So instead of it being the things that are around us coming in, now that alternate energy is coming in. To me, we're not receiving, even though we are, because it's coming to us, like so we're getting it, but the pineal gland is not receiving, it's projecting, it's putting out. It gets to put that vision where it's the carrot that it dangles in front of you, and you're just like, oh, and you just go after that. It shows you the image that you're supposed to see, where it's just like, this is the path I'm supposed to walk on. Awesome. All of a sudden you have the, the old school 80s little star strip where you like click, 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 chick, and just like, and it rotates around. You get the little disc and all that. Yeah, the Viewmasters or whatever.
Viewmaster, yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's got, all of a sudden it's like the Viewmaster's on. It's like ka-chunk, ka-chunk. You're like, oh, I got to do that, and I got to do that. So if we're really connected, you're saying receiving. I say it more as projecting, even though, yes, we're receiving that higher power or it's coming through us. It would be coming through the crown. So I don't see the pineal as being an antenna. I literally see it as just being like a component of the machine where it helps to put it helps to project, it helps to put the right things out there so we can go after that. I'm just alternate idea. I'm like, what if? So instead of the typical what the books say, where it's like it takes in, it receives, it's a receptor, it's like an eyeball basically.
Well, yeah, that's the way I keep thinking about it, is that it's like an eyeball, but why couldn't it send out a signal too?
Wait, so think about this. Was it the Wild Wild West? Will Smith, Kevin Kline, right?
Right.
Where they chopped the dude's head off and they put the light through the eyeball. And now all of a sudden it projected. So now all of a sudden, that's like, think of it in that fashion. You're putting that higher power, that energy as it gets 1,000 times going through your crown, coming into your pineal, and then it gets shrunk down to 96 because it's just like, no, we got to compress this. This is too much. But it compresses it so much that it puts out that vision. So now you're not receiving coming in, it's now projecting coming out as you're receiving the energy from the higher power coming in, that really high energy, love and light. Now it's doing it in that fashion. That's what I said, and it carries right through your throat chakra. So now you're saying the things. This is how you're the conduit. You're seeing the music that you have to play. I mean, you're saying the music you have to sing.
I thought I had a wild imagination, but
I'm just, what if?
No, that's wicked. That takes it to a whole different level.
Well, right. So we all sit here and keep going back and forth where it's like, oh, receptor. It seems to be, and it's, what if it's actually built to be this way? That's why I was like, what if it's calcifying itself? Because it's like, no, stop. You're not allowed to come in this way. But then you start to use it. It's like, oh, wait. I got to clean this lens off. You got to get a cleaner picture of this. And it starts to clean itself. I don't know. What if?
What else?
Yeah, I don't. I just think that's a really cool idea.
It's wild stuff, man. That's weird, wacky stuff. I don't know.
Did you know that, Ed? Yes.
Ed knows everything.
Of course. Well, he's not actually paying attention.
He just woke up.
He's like the original Barney Stinson, where he's just like always making it look like he's paying attention, but he's not. He's saying random things. What's happening now? Different strokes.
Did not know that. That's weird, wacky stuff.
Yeah, Ed is the original. He's the OG on that. Yeah, maybe he was like half asleep. Maybe he was like half lucid. Who knows?
I'm
Maybe
saying, yeah, like those thick glasses, like you couldn't tell if his eyes were closed or not, really. I mean, yes, just kind of woke up and.
Right? Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
I don't know. We could speculate about all kinds of stuff,
Well, and that's why I'm like I like the idea of the pineal being the fact of which way the energy goes or how it is, like how connected you are. That's kind of, you can be whatever you want at that point. To be being impeccable, I think it might work that way. It's logical to me.
Yeah, the pineal gland has always been a spot of fascination for me. I'm just, I'm like on the mic and I just kind of stare off into space. I'm like, it doesn't really do any good for the mic, but.
That's a serious thing to think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
To me, that's like doing all of a sudden Einstein's like, what if you take E equals MC squared and put it into the reference of the light train, and this is how, and you're just like, wait, what? How? What do you? What? You have to. We have to be questioning the best science with like ridiculous questions. I think this is great. This is one of my favorite ideas. There's this tractor trailer that's all loaded up. Standard 53-footer, just normal old thing, but it's loaded to the gills, got every inch of however many thousands of pounds it can hold, which in and of itself, no matter what the suspension's set at, it still kind of drops itself a little bit. Maybe a couple inches, nothing crazy, right? Nothing that's like super noticeable. Guy's driving one way, all loaded up, does his thing, totally unloads at his spot and comes back. Now all of a sudden he's, those 2 or 3 inches higher going across the same exact bridge. Yet somehow all of a sudden, because he's 2 to 3 inches higher, bam, slips right into the top. It's crammed, stuck.
That was one of those lateral thinking puzzles, I think.
Yeah. And so now all of a sudden you get all these engineers, all these intelligent, hard-thinking, went-to-school, scholared individuals. Oh, well, we would have to take this brace and cut this over. They're deconstructing the bridge. And this little girl, like, driving by on the alternate side of traffic just looks at him and goes, no, she doesn't do that. She's in the car driving. But she says to him, and, this is obviously not true, but, she's like looking at these guys that are, E equals MC squared brainiac types trying to, deconstruct anti-gravity propulsion, non-reactionary systems. And they're just like, oh, we're going to, she's like, why don't you just let some of the air out of the tires and the whole thing will just kind of drop down. And then you can just back it on out.
Yeah, right.
Little girl doesn't know this stuff, but the fact is the alternate perception of simplicity of like, you are attempting to take apart, cut, destroy, like, why can't you just do this?
Let the air out of the tires, let it roll back.
Well, yeah, so now all of a sudden you take this non-traditional perspective to ask a very serious question. That's why I'm like, what if? So everybody wants to talk about it's a receptor. It's ideal receptor component because it does this, that. Why does it have to be a receptor? Why does it have to be a microphone? Why can't it be a set of earphones?
I don't know, bro.
I don't know either. That's why I asked the question.
I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing I thought was really interesting was when I looked it up, that they're pretty much the same, if not really similar, to the type of cells that make up your eyeball. The piezoelectric, photosensitive.
Oh, when you like take it down to like the raw level, where
Yeah.
it's like, as the tissue is built up, this is the thing that it's made of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 3 or 4 like levels deep on its actual molecules and things.
It's wild. I mean, there's no reason to suspect that it wouldn't function just like a normal eyeball with what it's made of.
Well, and that's why I want to make the idea of it's either a microphone or a pair of headphones, right? I've actually done this.
More like sonar.
Well, I've actually done this where I had the old school RCA little plastic piece of crap with the the little, over the head half hoop metal strap that just like suck these things to your head. If you plug those headphones into the microphone jack, so you have the right input, it's going in the right direction, and you basically speak in a very loud volume because it's a horrible microphone. But if you yell more or less, you're not really, but if you really project, if you have a high enough volume, if you create enough frequency or resonant factor vibration, this headphone now works as a microphone. So if the pineal gland is this literal mechanical component,
can you pass information both ways?
Well, yeah, I think you can. I mean, it makes sense. If we're human and we're going to create things that are of us, because that's what we do, well, then why wouldn't we have that exact representation in that fashion? So if we're making this mechanical thing that does that, then most likely, our hearts can move backwards, our lungs can move back. We say it goes in and out. What if it goes out and in? What if CAT really did spell dog? Yeah, I flipped it, but still. If we're going to sit here and say, hey, the evidence suggests to this extreme degree.
What's the difference? It doesn't go up and down. It goes down and up. Well, who cares? Well, it makes a difference.
It can, and maybe it doesn't. I think we should be doing research as such. Like, we really need to be doing that. That I made it back to the idea. If we were looking at 20% of the stuff that we're actually looking at, and instead looking at it as 80% of the resources. So those small little things that we're spending like no little time on to educate ourselves or understand the things around us more, like the paranormal, parapsychology, all those things where it's like hey, the small percentage we're going to spend no time on. Those are the ones we probably really should be. To me, that's going to give you that better balance.
What's that? In researching more of the unknown and more.
Yeah. So same thing. That's what. So in the pineal, like, hey, we don't know, and it suggests on a high level this way. Why aren't we putting more time into thinking about it the opposite? And like, why aren't we just like, hey, let's make something opposite and think of it that way, just for like poopies and ha-has.
What if?
What if?
Yeah. What if?
No, I think it's a great idea. We should look into that.
Well, it's basically what we're talking about, isn't it?
We need better research. We need better research support. We need better education once we
lab.
We all do, though.
Do our own science experiments. We need a lab.
I'm talking about all of society, for all of it. The planet, the people, the species, the water, every inch of it. The spiritual nature around us, like all of that stuff. We need to be having better balance and thinking about all those kinds of things. Yeah, so I like, we need to wake up or shake off all that crap on the pineal gland and let stuff just come fluid. We all just need to start being conduits and letting the music flow through us, man. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do it together. We're just gonna be in the flow. Yeah, we should. I think we should.
I can't necessarily disagree with that. I am exhausted though. What time is it?
It's at a place where I can agree. We've
yeah.
Dude, this is a serious subject, and we just beat the ever living crap out of it for pretty much an hour.
Yeah, and if there's any more to talk about, I'm not going to figure it out in my current state.
Not only that, but I also think I put down some pretty heavy stuff where it's like we should probably really just let that soak in for a little bit, right?
Yeah, let that sit, and
I'm gonna marinate on that for a little while because I really like that idea. I mean, that was I literally. As we're talking about it, that was my thought. What if? I mean, has anybody got... So maybe that's the thing. We can do a little research and educate ourselves, and we'll come correct on a green room and see what that sparks. All right? That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know how much more you're going to learn, but...
I'm not going to not learn if I don't do
scientifically speaking, it'd be interesting to see if there's any, like we were saying off mic, if there's any, studies.
Yeah, literature.
Like
scholastic journals, peer-reviewed.
Yeah, peer-reviewed studies and
papers, doctoral theses.
Yeah, because sometimes you get some little gems.
Dude, I'm a nerd. They're all gems to me. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I never thought about that, but yeah.
Well, lucky number 13.
Pineal. Dude, I came up with a really dope idea. I mean, maybe I didn't come up with it, but I certainly enjoy it, and I'm gonna
No,
as
I
I think about this again and again, dude. Yeah, maybe this is a thing I need to make a theory. I'm gonna hypothesize and build a construct, test my model, collect the data. make
Yeah,
it
I like
empirical.
absolutely. I like the idea of discussing the pineal gland because that's one of my hot buttons. That like obviously I said like I researched this stuff before, but apparently I didn't come with enough stuff for tonight's conversation because
I think you gave it plenty because it sparked a pretty dope idea, and then we got to debate it. Like,
well, that's true.
right? I mean, and we got to get into a little bit of the idea of like consciousness with it and like the flow of stuff. So I mean, because we don't know. Hopefully, you at home or like maybe listen to this or on your bike or wherever, and Dubai or something. I don't know if you're checking it out. You're like, holy crap, that is a good idea. I should totally look into that. And maybe you're that person. We don't, dude. Whatever.
Yeah, you hit that moment of clarity before, and you want to share it with us.
Yeah, in the comments.
If you've opened all that up and you've literally, I mean, I'll be trying to
fact checker, give us your resume.
I'll be trying to lie to us.
Come correct.
Come correct. But I mean, you seen that place? You want to tell us about it? You want to share it with the world? Sure. Come on.
We'll save you. We'll lay you by the fire. No, just kidding.
We'll bring you on the show. We'll put you on blast.
If that's what you want. If not, then we can put you off to the side.
If
give
not,
you that weird
we'd love
blacked out robot voice. Oh,
if not, we'd love to read your comment.
Yeah.
We'd love to read your comment on the next show. Anyhow, I'm exhausted, and I'm gonna just start probably talking in similar voices to the one you just used.
It's all good in the hood. Dude, this was it was a great episode. It's number 13. To me, that's like my number. So again, I'm pretty sure I'm going to come back to this and I'm going to start working on some like, yeah, I like this idea. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to see about like powering up. Yeah, dude, I'm going to alter beast on this. Hey, man.
You're taking it back.
Mr. Gemini, always a good time.
All right,
Fam,
Philly
until
D.
the next time, right?
Yep, until next time.
Push that button.
Word.